Thanks for joining the latest episode of Hedera's virtual meetup. This is episode 3 of our Spotlight series, where I'm incredibly excited to be joined by Vishal, Jesse, and Rahul, 3 of the leaders that you probably already know in the Hedera community. So we're going to ask them some questions, get to know them a bit better, and find out about all the cool things that they're building on Hedera. We're going to give it just a minute or so here while people are joining the YouTube chat. But if you have any questions for me or them throughout this whole live stream, feel free to put them in the YouTube chat and we'll ask them while we have everyone live here. So while we're giving people just a few minutes to fall in here, how are you guys doing? How are you, Vishal?
I'm good, Cooper. How are you? And how is everyone? Jesse, Rahul, how are you guys?
Great. Happy to be here with all of you.
How about yourself, Rahul?
Yeah, I mean, I have my Hedera Hello Future shirt on. It's my representation.
You got to move back a bit, bud.
Oh, yeah, nice.
There you go.
Vishal, you need one too, man.
Mine is sadly in the drying laundry.
Way to put him on the spot. Vishal, we're going to have to send you a backup shirt for the next live stream.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we're getting a few more people coming into the YouTube chat here. Christian Holman said someone has a fresh shirt. I don't know which of us that was, but it could be in reference to all 3 of us. And Vishal over here. Maybe he's just talking about Vishal's blue shirt. Who knows?
I think he's talking about your shirt.
That's great. So this is awesome. You know, before we dive in, where kind of in the world are you all joining us from? You know, you don't have to dox yourself or tell us specifically, but what part of the world are you guys in? Jesse?
I'm joining in.
Yeah, I'm in Ontario, Canada.
Awesome. You're close to our friend Paul Madsen up there.
Yeah, Ottawa's just a few hours away.
Vishal, what about yourself?
I'm joining in from Mumbai, India.
Wow, this might be our most geographically diverse stream yet. Rahul?
I'm at the middle of both of them, so London, UK.
Okay, wow. That is exciting.
Global reach.
Yeah.
That is impressive. So we're going to give it, maybe 1 or 2 more minutes here. Roland says hi from Switzerland. If you didn't see, Roland was on our last episode of the Hedera MVP Spotlight series, so please go watch that one. You can find it on our YouTube channel. Okay, Christian Holman said it was a fresh collective shirt. It's like, we're all fresh. Thanks, Christian. All right. Well, it looks like we're hitting, a pretty good viewership here. People have had a few minutes to join. So I will just, recap this again. Thank you everyone for joining episode 3 of our MVP Spotlight series. We're going to have every single one of the Hedera MVPs on a live stream so you can get to know them better, find out about the cool things that they're building, hear about why they're interested and excited about Hedera, and also just get to know them. You can feel free to reach out if you have any questions about anything that we chatted about today. They are experts at what they do and really great resources for the Hedera community. So to just kick us off here, Rahul, can you introduce yourself? Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rahul. I am actually a university student yet to graduate. And in my first year at university, I'm studying computer science. In my first year, I was looking into being really passionate about one of the many technologies in computer science. And I found myself, in the deep down rabbit hole of Satoshi Nakamoto's infamous paper on Bitcoin. And that's how I got started off in the blockchain industry. Over the years, I've worked in Dubai for the smart city initiative that happens there for blockchain. I've worked a little bit in New York. I think in Hedera, my biggest project till date was Tune.fm, which I think, if not the first, definitely one of the first apps to be launched on Hedera mainnet back in September last year, was it? I think when it was launched. Yeah. And that was a really big success. to the extent that the whole app got broken. We had to rewrite the whole code, redeploy it, and now it's live again. Yay. But yeah, and then apart from that, I also work on an initiative started by Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey to decentralize social media networks. So that's more of a research project where we're just tinkering with ideas on what we can do next. But yeah, that's me. And I'm also interning at Alexa for the summer, which is a very different pivot to blockchain. But yeah.
That's awesome, Rahul. I think most people are probably familiar with Tune FM. It was live on day one of open access, which is incredible. And we're very rapidly approaching the 1-year anniversary of open access. So we're very excited about that and to look at kind of all the progress that not only us as the Hedera team, but everyone in the community has made since then. It's incredibly exciting. And that's also funny that you almost forgot about your internship at Amazon. That's awesome. Jesse, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you next?
Yeah, my name is Jesse Whiteside. As I said, I'm from Ontario, Canada, and I've been a enthusiast in the space for quite some time, ever since reading the Bitcoin white paper as well. And ever since, I've just tried to learn everything I can about the space, and happened upon Lehman's white paper, and actually the YouTube video that many people have come across from Mike Maloney, and it's just been yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's been Hashgraph ever since. I just when, and I'm not going to speak for everyone else, but from what I've noticed, whenever someone really digs into what the Hashgraph platform offers, they typically don't start looking anywhere else for in this space anyway. It's just, there's something about it that if you do the research, you realize what a transformative thing this platform really can be, and people just really want to get behind it. And that's sort of how I got my start in it, was, holy smokes, this is really going to have the potential to do something. If you look into Bitcoin and a lot of different things, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but it just didn't have all the pieces. But Hedera seems to have all the pieces, from the technology standpoint all the way through to the governance model. Just everything seems to be best practices for something that you would want to have implemented across the world. So that's why I'm here.
That is awesome. I think, a lot of people in the Hedera community probably share that same origin story of watching Mike Maloney's YouTube videos and, finding out about the hidden, the Hashgraph and Lehman. And, it's always fun to watch Lehman speak, but that video is great.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting because I think Rahul shared a similar sentiment when I had him on our podcast, where he was saying that in previous generations of blockchain, he would jump from platform to platform every few months. But in this case, Hedera is the first one that he's stuck around with for quite a while. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Vishal, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, so hi guys, I'm Vishal. I'm co-founder of Resolute. I've been in the blockchain industry for around 3 years or so. And I started off like everybody over here with getting to know about Bitcoin, and then understanding it more and more. Tried to mine Bitcoin, but wasn't very successful in that. But yeah, it gave me a broader picture of how actually decentralization works and everything. Then I started investing a bit in crypto, and that's when I realized, okay, this is working. And when I started working on crypto, I figured out that it can change the dynamics of many industries, not just crypto. Blockchain has wide variety of applications, and we started off with Ethereum as well as Hyperledger. And when I stumbled upon a YouTube video that's like the Aladdin's genie, to know more about Hedera Hashgraph, that's when I started reading and learning more about Hashgraph, and came the first ever hackathon. That's where we participated and we announced to the world in that hackathon that we are here. And from there, we started working on Hedera. We worked on countless number of projects on Hedera and still doing that. Maybe I can talk more about that later on. And also we started our own product that is pair order, which is kind of a simplistic approach for people who are not really from the DLT background and they want to get started on Hedera, do something kind of a POC or test their idea out. Fair order is a tool where they can, concentrate more on their product and let fair order handle the Hedera aspects of it.
Very interesting. I think a lot of people, came from Bitcoin and looking at these other types of cryptocurrencies. It's funny to hear that you used to mine. I didn't know that about you. So that's a good, hidden nugget of information there. And I think you forgot to mention, or maybe I just glanced over it. What's your role at Resolute? What is Resolute?
So Resolute is actually a service company, IT services company that focuses mainly on blockchain. And we have worked on other emerging technologies, like we worked on machine learning, IoT, and RPA, but our focus was mainly in blockchain technology. We worked on enterprise level blockchain as well, but when it comes to public blockchain, like I said, we worked on quite a number of projects, especially on Hedera, apart from the other networks as well. But Hedera has been the network where we kind of any use case you give, it's very easy for as a consultant to show them how Hedera is very powerful and how it fits right into the slot, like the completing the puzzle. So
yeah, it's your network of choice, some might say.
Yeah,
that's great. And I think that fair order is a really cool product that we can get into at the end here. But it aligns really nicely with another thing that me and Rahul will talk a lot about, which is minimum viable decentralization. Like, you guys really provide one of the easiest ways to start decentralizing your application. So it's a really cool one. But now that we know a little bit about you, about what you were doing before Hedera, we have some context here. What is the one thing that stood out to you about Hedera? Was it the team? Was it, how fast it was? Was it the council? Was it the marketing? If you had to just narrow down to like the one thing that initially was like, this gets my attention, I'm going to look more into this, what would it have to be? I think I'm going to start with Jesse this time. He looked the most confused, so I had to.
No, not confused. It's a hard question because there's just so much to dig in. Like I said, when you actually read the white paper and you in its entirety try and understand what the algorithm itself enables, there's a lot of things. I mean, virtual voting's pretty amazing. Not being able to, not having to have to tell anyone else, any other node what you're voting, because they already know. That's pretty cool. But I'd have to say the algorithm itself is just extremely unique. It's one of a kind, obviously. There's nothing else out there that can do what it does. And as a result, there's nothing else out there that can enable what Hedera and Hashgraph will be able to, for not only, and I know a lot of our conversations are around enterprise use cases and adoption, but there's a reason why I believe why Hedera started there, and that's for traction and adoption. This platform is going to enable right down to the individual user so many things to be democratized over time, and it's just so exciting to think about the future. I know it's hard to think that far down the road, the 5, 10 years, even 20 years, but if you do your research, you can see the writing on the wall about what is going to happen ultimately. And I'm just so excited about it. And I'd have to say the algorithm is probably the real reason.
That is a great choice. For anyone who isn't super familiar with it, you seem to like the white paper, is that like your go-to suggestion for people, or do you point them to like a video of Lehman explaining it?
That Mike Maloney video is a great explanatory thing. I've also built a guide for anyone to, and that's the thing, like I'm not a coder by trade. So, when I, feel passionately about something, I want to support it in any way I can. I spent a long time thinking, sort of on the sidelines, how can I get involved in this? And, I'm still very technologically oriented. So I was like, okay, I can use the tools that I know of in the community to build something. So if anyone's interested, they can go to HH.Guide. And it's the Hedera Hashgraph Guide. And essentially it will give you all of the information that you could possibly ever want to find on the platform very easily, white papers and everything. And I'm constantly updating it. So
I'm sorry, can I just ask, how did you get the domain HH.Guide? How hard was that?
it wasn't actually.
Really?
I just, and Jordan Freed talks a lot about being, having a problem with domain name purchases. I'm somewhat the same way. So, I just kept punching in different permutations of, Hedera Hashgraph or Hashgraph or this or that. And I was like, oh, hey, something just went off in my mind, this could be very useful. And now I can see where I can contribute to the community. So yeah. I jumped all over it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That is really great. For anyone who is, looking to learn more about use cases, the council, the algorithm, Jesse's Hedera Hashgraph Guide is a great place to start. Really easy to use. Highly recommend checking it out. So big shout out there.
Thanks. It's mobile first too. It's easy. It's easy to get around on your phone, so you can be anywhere and you can start learning.
It's true. So let's go to Vishal next. If you had to pick one thing about Hedera, about Hashgraph, what would it be that got you excited?
Actually, to pick just one would be a bit difficult, but the consensus, especially due to the consensus, the speed of when the transaction confirms. So like I said, I had been in blockchain and development of blockchain for quite some time before I got my hands on Hedera. And that is one of the things which kind of is different from your traditional tech. In your traditional tech, you get instant gratification. So even if you're doing some action, you instantly get the response that, okay, that was successful or not successful or whatever it is. But when you're dealing with, let's say, a smart contract or doing a crypto transaction or anything like that, you have to wait for a certain period of time, which is not something which is people were used to. So apart from development, there was, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I would imagine that has significantly cut down on your development times, correct? For building out things, being able to get instant gratification like that?
I wouldn't say that it cut down on the development time, because the test networks on other network do give the instant gratification. But in terms of what it actually helped was, when you are dealing with some clients, to educate them that, okay, this is the normal in the other networks, that it will take time. It will take time to reach to consensus, and then come, the response will basically come and everything. That's what the problem was. But when it comes to Hedera Hashgraph, the instant gratification made people think that it is more or less the same tech that you're using in your day-to-day life. But with the added advantage of it being absolutely immutable, time-stamped, and future like edit proof. So that was a very, very strong feature, especially like you say, like you mentioned, that it is a very good fit for enterprises, as well as for the common person, like a single person. If he wants to do anything, Hashgraph is a very good fit for him to, not just from the smart contract point of view, but now with HCS, it opens up, I cannot say, like, it's endless, like using AppNet. Even like in the simple, if you have a simple MERN stack or a mean stack. You plug it in with HCS using treat that as an AppNet, and you are decentralized from just that one step. And
That
Cooper can
is
actually
very
add more to this, yeah.
fascinating. So, maybe at a high level, you could say that like our low latency is what got you so excited, like how quick Hedera can come to
Yes.
consensus and provide that feedback loop to your users.
Yes.
Which is, totally true. If you're waiting 30 plus minutes for block confirmations, it's going to be terrible for your development. It's going to be terrible for your user experience. It's going to be terrible for product demos. And like you said, being able to bring some of that kind of Web 2 feel of the immediate feedback loops and that immediate gratification into this kind of decentralized world is very powerful, something I'm very excited about as well. Rahul, finally, if you had to pick one thing, what would it be?
So I'll change the question a bit, because the answer to why I got into Hashgraph is probably same as Jesse or Vishal's. But the reason why I decided to stick onto Hashgraph is quite different. So I do a lot of freelance blockchain work, and that's how I learn blockchain. But something I got really frustrated about with other blockchains was the lack of maturity in the people. So I attended the very first hackathon that was started by Hashgraph. Now, back then, obviously, Hashgraph wasn't even launching. The Java SDK was barely usable, but the concepts were there. And I remember having a conversation with Greg. And that time, Greg told me that Hashgraph is built on the principle of controlled mutability, the idea that not everything is stored exactly on the DLT like in traditional blockchains. And I asked him, oh, so this isn't exactly like a blockchain. And he said, no, our market is different from a blockchain. There's a subtle difference. And I really liked that, because in the blockchain industry, what I see is people always try to copy each other. They take one use case, they copy it over there. Whereas, so all the other blockchains were basically becoming the same thing. Whereas here, there was Hashgraph. They were mature enough to know what their market is, what their unique selling point should be. And they were only attacking on that. Instead of being this hardcore blockchain app, they decided, oh, let's be GDPR compliant. Let's be a bit different. Let's not only focus on supply chain related issues where you need, full 100% compliance. What about things where people can delete it? So I know, like telephone governance related compliance where you need to delete things at times. That, to me, that maturity, the way of thinking about how you can be really technically focused, but also know your marketplace, that what inspired me to live in the Hashgraph community and learn from it. But yeah.
That is really great. I won't dock you points for changing my question and dodging it. That's totally fine, Rahul. I'm not going to hold it against you. But, I think that is probably the number one thing, actually, that might make us different from other networks, right? From day one, we've had an enterprise focus and enterprise go-to-market. You see this reflected not only in our council, our governance, you see this in our day-to-day operations, you see this in the quality of our marketing materials, you see this in quite literally the features available on the network and what types of services they might need to do their business applications. So although you dodged the question, totally won't hold it against you. So this next question that I have is a little bit more random, might not be entirely Hedera related. On the last one, we had a big debate over PC versus Xbox for gaming. I don't want to bring up that debate. It got a little too heated for me. People were taking it a little too seriously. But if you had to pick, one midnight snack, like what is your favorite midnight snack? And I'm going to go to Rahul first. You're just coding away all night. You're working on a bunch of side projects. You're working on Amazon Alexa. What is that like one thing that you constantly want to snack
on?
Really sugary biscuits, because I need that sugar to reduce the stress.
I thought Rahul would say that he'll just ask Alexa.
That would probably make me more stressed.
All right.
Why isn't it working?
So really sugary biscuits, is that it?
Yeah, yeah, pretty
Okay,
much.
that's a safe answer. Vishal, what is your favorite or go-to midnight snack?
I'm actually a foodie, so whatever comes in my hand first is I'll start grabbing it.
All right, that's
But
respectable. Just anything he can get his hands on.
yeah, but then anything sweet is something which will be higher up the ladder.
There you go.
Okay, there's a hierarchy of sweetness there. I appreciate that. That is great. Jesse, if you had to pick a favorite midnight snack.
I'm kind of in the same bowl as Michelle. You know, whatever's awesome food that I have, I'll take. But if I had to pick one, it's going to be sort of not sweet. I'd take a big giant bowl of pasta if I've got it on hand.
Okay, that is a good
Ooh,
that's a good suggestion. Yeah. I don't know if that's something that I would, go out of my way to make at midnight and then,
Oh, but if I have it, I'm definitely going to heat some back up. So
okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, thanks for entertaining me there. This brings me back to the town hall where we ask Mance like what his favorite dessert is, and it's some like mascarpone thing with like balsamic vinegar. And I still kind of want to try it, but I'm curious if anyone in the community has actually made that dessert that Mance shouted out.
oh yeah.
Oh gosh, that was a while ago. What a throwback. Um, all right. So now that we had a little fun, I would love to dive into, what you're currently working on Hedera. I know for some of you, it's a bunch of different projects, whether it's something that you're just building over the weekend for fun, or if it's something that you've been building for, a year plus. So, Jesse, do you want to start off by talking about the Hedera Hashgraph Guide?
Yeah, sure. It's something that I had, alluded to on some of the other podcasts with Andrew Murdoch, that I had been building for quite some time, and it's sort of been a labor of love, just putting together all of the different pieces of information and slowly trying to think hierarchically. What would a person just off the street who doesn't know anything about Hashgraph need to know about them, in under a minute to sort of get a base layer understanding of what it is and what it's trying to accomplish. So that really has sort of been my guiding principle with building it, is trying to onboard as many people as possible and get them to understand the differences and world changing benefit that I think the platform can have, and quickly and easily get them comfortable with the platform. I've kicked around a whole bunch of different ideas for quite some time. Haven't been able to act on them as of yet, but over time I'm sure that I'll have more interesting things that I will bring for the community to help. And also collaborate with other people on. Another thing that's been fun for me is, anytime anyone needs help on a different project, whatever it may be, research, whatever, it's been fun just to lend a hand and help people where I can and learn more about the different use cases and where the platform can go that I might not have thought of. So yeah, it's been fun.
That is awesome. I also know that you're one of like kind of the OG Telegram admins. You've been in there for
Yeah,
a long time. A lot of people might recognize you from there.
yeah. It's fun being on there too, helping people too. And that was that was one of the main reasons. And I've written a few different articles on, account creation and different things like that. That was one of the other, little sparks that got me thinking we need a guide for this community that isn't just a live person talking. There's people around the world that might want to learn about it at some, random time that I'm not on. So what can they do if they come to the community? And no one's there to actually have a one-on-one conversation with them and help them out. And that was another reason to build the guide, essentially.
That is awesome. And I just put this in the chat, but for anyone who is trying to get access to the Hedera Hashgraph guide that Jesse has put together, just go into your web browser, type in HH.Guide. It'll take you straight there, and you can actually download it like straight to your phone.
It is,
which is
yeah.
So it's really nicely there. Check it out, download it. let him know if there's anything that he needs to add or change, or if there's anything else that you want to see in there.
People have been great about that too. They've reached out anytime they've seen, maybe there's a spelling mistake or something here or there. But yeah, if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, always open, happy to chat. Reach me on Telegram.
What has been the biggest, learning experience or insight from putting that together? Is there anything that you found when you were kind of compiling all that information that surprised you?
Well, the one thing I will say is in going through building the guide, it's confirmed a lot of my suspicions or thinking and theories about the platform, and that is, it's second to none in terms of its composition. Really, the breadth and depth with which Hedera has taken upon themselves to build out this infrastructure for the community and the world at large to build on it. I just don't see any other platform doing that. And not to throw shade at any other platform, but one of the things that drew me to it, and Rahul spoke about this just moments ago, was the team is really focused on its strengths and where it can make the most impact. And that just shows a whole lot of maturity. And I know that stems from Manson Lehman. Right down to the bottom, and it's extremely easy to follow leaders who have a vision and are extremely they know what they want and how they want to get there, and they have a plan for it. It's very easy to get behind that, especially when they're bringing something that is world altering like this. And if you realize that, and the team and the tech are there, it just makes it very easy to go and do that. So I would say there's just a whole lot of information people don't really know about the platform, but the more you spend learning about it, the more you'll realize that it already, even though it's not even a year into open access, there's just so much stuff that's already happened. And I can only imagine the things that are going to happen in the next several years to enable anyone and everyone to take part in the platform.
That is very exciting. I've put together a lot of the content or the pages on our website. I know our marketing team at Hedera has done a lot of good work there. If there's anyone who probably knows what is on Hedera.com, on docs.hedera.com, on all these different places, it's probably Jesse here. So if you have any questions or want to learn more about it, I highly recommend you getting in touch with him.
And I'm having to follow your work all the time because I need to change and add new things when you're adding new features. It's kind of a cat and mouse game we're playing.
That is what it feels like sometimes, but we appreciate all your hard work. The community seems to really like it. Rahul, do you want to go next here? Do you want to tell us about Tune FM or any of the other projects that you built on Hedera?
Yes, I think for the longest time, I was heavily involved in creating a new standard for Tune.fm. So that is, how do you create a smart contract that can scale up to millions of users? Because current smart contracts are limited at 10,000 to 20,000 users based on how you use it. And so it was a bit of it was like a hierarchy of a parent contract with child contracts. And in the future, they can have children of those child contracts. But after that, I moved on to HCS. And with HCS, I'm experimenting with something. I don't know if this will work or not, but the idea is, for now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to connect different blockchains via HCS. And the end goal, right now, is just something stupid. But the end goal of this is to think about, can you create an inter-blockchain standard using HCS? And that is interesting because HCS as a whole is not blockchain, but it's not heavily centralized either. And you need to have an interconnection between platforms. You need something centralized, but you don't want something too centralized because blockchain. So I think HCS would be an interesting fit. I don't know if it'll work, but yeah, I'm just trying.
That is really interesting. It sounds kind of like you're describing like a Polkadot parachain like model where, all your blockchains connect to us.
Yeah.
Actually, we are also trying something like that. We're actually trying to connect one consortium that is running Hyperledger Fabric and one which is running Corda, and the data is syncing between them using HCS. So we are also doing something very similar to that. But yeah, I think you're going on the right lines. Okay.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Rahul, could you tell us one of the most fun things and probably one of the most challenging things about working on TuneFM?
Yeah, the challenging thing, well, the fun thing was that um, in the hackathon, back when before Hedera was even launched, I wanted to improve my technical ability by thinking, so that hackathon had the theme of micropayments. So it was things like, oh, what if Washington Post would charge you per article instead of a subscription model? And I thought, what if I could do something like that on Spotify? But I had no idea of how to do that. And then Andrew from Tune.fm approached me and I did that. That was the fun part of it. The fact that we were the first company to launch an ERC20 token on the very first day the mainnet was launched. The fact that, and the challenging part was we started when the Java SDK was at a version of 0.1.0. Right now it's at 1.0.5 or something. And a lot of those iterations were literally roadblocks for me because I would go back to Greg and be like, okay, this is missing. How do we add this? How do we work around that? That was the challenging part, but that was also the fun part for me.
It's good that you find that fun. I feel like you're constantly, pushing the envelope with the developer tools that we have, what's available on the network, how you actually do different things and how you can make it scale to a real world environment. So it's good to know that that's what gets you excited.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is great. So Vishal, you mentioned, building some interoperability solutions, connecting Hyperledger Fabric to Corda. We also briefly touched on Fair Orderer, which is, your SaaS product that makes it really easy to get started with the Hedera consensus service. But do you want to just give us, the high level landscape of Resolute and all the cool different things that you guys are working on? And maybe we can pick out a few of them, dive deeper.
Sure. So currently as well, like we are working on quite a lot of projects. I think we have been working. We basically started with HBAR Price, the wallet, and there was once an instance where there was an update in the Hedera wallet, which kind of was breaking for many people, but Hedera HBAR Price wallet was still working. So that was actually like kind of a situation where we thought that's great. I mean, it's working fine and not breaking. We have worked on Earth ID, which I think many of the people in the community know about it. It's kind of similar to TuneFM, wherein we started with the smart contract approach, and now we'll move it to HCS-based approach due to the scalability and everything, and also the flexibility that comes in with HCS. We were working with Pablo on the composer and the deployer. That was challenging as well as fun because many things were literally very new. Making the Chrome extension composer was something very new for even us. Definitely Pablo was a very good, like he's a very, very genius developer, I would say, and his support was all the time there while we were doing that. We worked on AO Chain, which is a decentralized exchange on Hedera with IME. We currently working on Earth Tile. We are again working on one more project, which is kind of in a stealth mode right now. So I don't think I can talk too much about it. But all I can say is it's very much similar to something like Upwork. That's probably something that I can share about that project, but not too much of details right now. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no worries.
there's
Won't have you disclose any private information here on the live stream, at least hopefully not. We would love to avoid editing this at all costs. But that's really awesome. So out of all of those, which has been the most fun project for you and your team to build? You know, how many people are working at Resolute?
So Resolute is currently a 30 plus team. There are many like different developers apart from the people who directly working on blockchain. Fun part, apart from the projects, actually, I would go back to the first hackathon. I wasn't part of the hackathon because I just basically we just had a baby, so I was back at home. But my co-founder, his name is also Rahul, so I think he's equally technical like this Rahul. He was the one who was actually there in Bangalore doing the hackathon, and like Rahul mentioned, the Java SDK was there, but it was barely there. There were quite a few things which were not working and stuff, but somehow Rahul was able to deploy the first smart contract. So I think that would be probably the very first smart contract that was deployed on the Hedera network. And that was actually another tool that we had worked on. Was more like it was built for Ethereum, that we modified it and used it for Java. It was a smart contract builder wherein you can just specify, for example, if you want to launch a ERC20 token, you just specify the name, the symbol, the decimals, and how much you want to mint, or who is the owner of that, and it will just deploy the automatically write the smart contract and deploy it on the mainnet. So that was one of our projects, and we were um, one of the runner-ups in that hackathon as well because of that. Uh, the fun part over there was like it was a total topsy-turvy ride, trying to find that how it is working and making it work. And then comes the second part wherein we wrote the Rust SDK, because we wanted to make the wallet for iOS, and we wanted to make it in React Native so that we can use the same code base for both Android and iOS. At that time, Flutter was not probably that mature or not that known, so we went with React Native at that time, and writing the iOS SDK was another thing, which gave us sleepless nights, but in the end, it was fun, really fun actually.
That is awesome. You know, participating in Hedera 18 is a much different world than building on Hedera today. You know, we were pre-open access. That was just after the testnet launched. Rahul mentioned our SDKs were at version like 0.1 something.
Yeah.
You know, we actually have a lot of exciting stuff coming on the way about SDKs. Specifically, like I know Java and JavaScript are supposedly hitting version 2 pretty soon. Go is supposedly hitting version 1 pretty soon, which is all super exciting. Jason has been doing a tremendous amount of work on the .NET SDK, so shout out to Jason. I know that Christian Holman, who is in the live stream right now, has been doing some cool stuff getting the JavaScript SDK to work with React Native. And I think that we actually might be working towards official support for React Native. So lots of exciting things coming down the way in terms of developer tools. But you know, as two people who were some of the earliest builders on Hedera, I'm sure you can agree that it is a light years of difference in terms of what you can do now versus what you could have done at Hedera
right now,
18.
yeah, definitely. So whoever is going to start now building on top of Hedera has quite a lot of resources available, documentation available. The documentation, shout out to the people who are doing the documentation.
Shout out to
It's
Simi.
really, yeah, so it's really detailed. Whatever information you need, the community is equally active. The Discord channel is equally active. I don't think, I mean, right from actually from the day zero, support from Greg, support from Paul, support from the host of this stream. It has been fabulous. You message them any time of the day. You are going to get the answer from either of them. And if not them, then people like, people like us, people like Rahul, and if Jess sometimes points to the right resources. So I think it's a good time to dive in and start working on Hedera Hashgraph for anybody.
That is great to hear. You know, it makes me so happy to hear that even all the way in India, you're able to get support anytime that you need it from our team. And that just makes me really happy. So we did have a fun question in the chat. I don't know if we're going to have any great answers to this, but, you know, just repeating it. If anyone has questions for myself or other members of this live stream, please put them in the YouTube chat. And, you know, we're going to hang out for a few minutes at the end and just try to answer some live Q&A here. But one of our members that's tuned in here asked if you wanted to or had to put, you know, a value, a price tag per se, on the actual internet, what kind of range or what figure would you throw out there? Like, how much is the internet collectively worth to people? Maybe we'll start with Vishal here. It's okay to say that it's priceless. That would probably be my cop out.
I was about to say priceless, but
Perfect.
I was trying to give some values to it. Maybe the total amount of HBARs that we are going to mine.
It's worth whatever 50 billion HBAR is worth. That's all that we need. That's all that we care about. 50 billion HBAR is always worth 50 billion HBAR.
That's correct.
If anyone has a guess or a range, feel free to chime in here.
10 to the power $26 million. Done.
10 to the power.
That's
That
10
sounds
with
like
26 zeros. Yeah.
10 with 26 zeros. Sure, why not?
Why not?
Is that what they tell you at Amazon? Jeff Bezos is like, he's like, this is what we can afford.
No, I love this question. I actually Googled how much data is there on the internet. The first thing that came up was 10 to the power 24 bytes in 2014. So it's like, well, if 1 byte would be $1, then why not?
I love it. Let's have an ICO.
Let's do it.
All right, we have another fun question. This one's coming from Nick. Thank you for tuning in and supporting us, Nick. If you want to watch his episode of the Hedera MVP Spotlight Series, highly recommend you dig through our YouTube and find it. That one was a lot of fun. What is the music that you guys listen to when you hack or when you work? You know, what is your go-to tunes? Let's start off with Rahul.
I'm gonna say lo-fi.
Okay, just generically lo-fi.
Just actually, last week I discovered this really weird one. So it's like Bernie Sanders, all of Bernie Sanders' speeches compiled in a lo-fi format. It was interesting. Never done that before.
That sounds very interesting.
You're gonna have to send me the link to that one, Rahul.
Yeah, we need the link for that.
All right,
We'll put it in the YouTube chat. Don't worry. Vishal, what is your go-to tunes? You a big Taylor Swift fan?
No, I generally go instrumental so as to not distract myself. But the instrumental music helps me focus more.
All right, I can agree with that. You're not just listening to Bernie Sanders speeches on a repeat in the background there. Rahul, the community is probably not going to let you live this one down. Okay,
I'm going to try and find.
I agree with the, you know, background tunes, no vocals. That's very much something that I'm into it as well. Jesse, what is your go-to music?
It really depends on whether I need to think or not. If it's, you know, a repetitive, mundane task, I'll listen to some tunes. But if it's something where I, you know, kind of want to think about some stuff and where I want to go next, I'll typically just work in silence. But if I had to pick music, I'm a basketball player by trade, so rap and rock music typically.
Do you have a favorite rapper?
Favorite rapper? There's too many.
I thought you were going to say Tupac.
What's that? Tupac? Tupac's awesome. I do like Run the Jewels. Run the Jewels.
Okay. They would, I've seen them live, super fun.
I have two, actually. They're really good.
That is great. Okay, cool. So thank you for answering our speed round of community questions. There's one last serious question that I have before we open it up to just anything that the community wants to ask. So this is, there's so many different things happening in the Hedera ecosystem, from, SDK improvements, which we've talked about, the Mira nodes being released to Google Cloud, bringing new council members on board, different use cases in healthcare and supply chain and tokenization. Like, there are so many different kind of things going on in the community. What are you most excited about for the future? What are you looking forward to the most, not just from your own projects, but from the community at large? Maybe we'll start with Jesse.
Sorry, I didn't understand that question.
No worries at all. What is the thing that you're most excited about that's coming forward? We have new use cases, we have new API features, we have new council members, but what gets you the most excited?
It's hard to put a finger on one. It's kind of like Christmas every day, wondering whether, wondering what goodies are going to be left under the tree by the team. I'm most excited about Hedera hitting version 1 and getting to open review, because I think that is the inflection point with which a lot of things will start happening on many different fronts. So that's what I'm eagerly awaiting. I just think there will be a tidal wave of information once we hit that milestone. So that's what, and that's not to say any of the other things that are awesome things that are being worked on, shouldn't be talked about, but I just think that's the linchpin for everything.
That makes a lot of sense. That's something I'm very excited about it as well. You can imagine how excited our engineering and product teams are all about it.
Oh, I bet.
So outside of open review of the actual Hashgraph consensus algorithm, what is part of version 1.0 that you see in your mind that you're so excited about? Like, is it staking features? Is it just like having insight? What else are you looking forward to besides diving into the Hashgraph code?
Well, I mean, the information I have, I'm pretty sure staking is not going to happen right away when we reach open review. That's still ways off, I believe. I'm interested in hearing from council members. I know there's tons of NDAs that have been signed. I know there's lots of things going on behind the scenes, but I don't feel as though council members are going to announce products on a network that's still in beta. So my hope is that when we reach open review and the network is, zero downtime, all that, and it's rock solid, that there's going to be a lot more information from what council's working on, because we know that's part and parcel of joining as a council member is working on the platform and developing use cases. I just want to know what they are.
Yes, that is very exciting. I think that there's going to be a lot of things kind of bundled into that 1.0 release, that, like you talked about, updating nodes, reconnecting, lots of different features are going to be kind of bundled into the software that eventually makes it to version 1. Yeah. But we will stay tuned and see what happens and wait to hear the announcements. But very exciting things coming in that front. I wasn't expecting such a good answer right away. I appreciate that. So Vishal, what would you say you're most excited about for the community here?
Well, actually, I am more, you can say, excited about one is the DID HIP that is going on, coming from Earth ID perspective. Staking, obviously, because that's kind of important in many of our projects. So want to understand how it works and how we can leverage it. And yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know that we're doing a large amount of work on decentralized identity at the moment, which is very
Yes.
exciting. Probably one of the use cases I'm most excited about. And then I think staking might be like the #1 most requested feature that I get from the
Yeah.
community is when staking.
From
When can
everyone,
I
yes.
start generating yields? How can I earn
Even
HBAR?
even tokenization service, I think probably Hedera
Yes.
is working on
Yeah.
tokenization as a service, native support to tokenization. So that again is something which is really interesting, and I'd like to, work on it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing a large amount of work regarding tokenization, so I'm very excited when we have more details to share there as well. But hopefully the community is as excited about that one as we are internally. Rahul, what are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to?
I was going to say the tokenization service, but in interest of saying something different, there's one. So in relation to tokenized service, I imagine there will eventually be some kind of a standard on top of HCS that exchanges can finally take in natively. But more importantly, I think I was really excited back when Hedera launched this. There's this GitHub repository on top of HCS related to extensions and stuff. And I know that there are going to be some new features coming up. I just don't know what. I'm really excited to see what what comes in over there, because a lot of that stuff is close to production, in the sense you can't copy paste it directly, granted, but it gives you really great ideas on what you can do in production on Hedera, because you can have all the POCs you want, but at the end of the day, you need something in production to actually, say, hey, we did this on Hedera in production. That's a very big difference than just saying, hey, I did this as a POC. So I'm really looking forward to see how HCS has that killer app on production.
That is great to hear. I think a lot of the industry, a lot of the companies that we work with are very tired of this kind of perpetual proof of concept wheel, and are very much excited to get production deployments as well and see things on the mainnet and drive real transaction volume. So that's really great. And yeah, what you said about HCS standards, tokenization, integrations are all very top of mind, very much things that people should be looking forward to. We're seeing a lot of interest in tokenization from different angles, and being able to create some of those reusable standards is definitely key to getting adoption of them. So that's something I'm very excited about as well.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So that is, yeah, Jesse.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? I'm not sure if you can answer it or not, but is there a council group specifically dedicated to tokenization? Is there
yes, there is what we call a SIG, a special interest group.
Is there a SIG?
Yes, dedicated to tokenization. And it involves, a number of council members, as well as, I hope I don't get this wrong, but I believe FPOS Australia sits on that tokenization SIG as well, along with, a few other higher profile projects that are looking at tokenization on Hedera. Awesome. So it's something that they're actively working on, meeting about, discussing, trying to find, the best ways to bring those things to market.
Cool.
Great question. Yeah, hopefully, hopefully hopefully we have more to share soon.
Awesome.
That's all that I can really say. So this is actually all of the, questions that I had prepared for us today. Thank you all so much for your time. I think it's awesome to learn more about who you are, what you're doing, the specific things that people can reach out to you and ask you questions for, advice in the community. We're gonna just hang out for like 5 or so minutes in case people have questions that they want to put in the YouTube chat to ask you. Or, this is a great time. If any of you have questions that you'd like to ask yourself or each other, feel free to go for that. Matthew Smithies, I hope I pronounced that correctly. We would love to get you on a Hedera live stream to talk about your serverless Hedera functions and APIs. Again, one of the easiest ways to get started on Hedera. I think his website's trust.enterprises. So please go check that out. And yes, we definitely want to have you on a live stream soon. Jesse, this could be a good question for you. I don't know if you're interested in doing it.
Sure.
Someone asked, can the Hedera team make a video of how to link a Ledger Nano wallet with HBAR? Is that something that you or someone else in the community might do?
That is something I think you and I were talking about over email just the other day. So yeah, I'm sure I can find the time to do something like that. I was also going to put together a how-to guide for that. I believe there are several guides already made by several other community members with respect to setting up a Ledger Nano S. I can post the links in the chat feed there as well.
That is awesome. Yes, we do have what we call the Hedera Heroes program on our GitHub. So if you go to github.com/hashgraph, scroll down to find the Hedera Heroes repo, we'll actually pay you $100 worth of HBAR for creating content, helpful educational tutorials, materials. And I think just yesterday we added one requesting a video for how to get set up with a ledger. And I reached out to Jesse seeing if he was interested in doing it. So that's a very top of mind question.
I've got a question for you, Cooper.
Yeah,
unless
sure.
I'll see if unless you've got one on there that you want to jump on first.
So someone asked, just quickly, would Hedera consider letting governments join the council? Do you see any pros or cons of governments joining the council? At the moment, we are not accepting government entities. We just do not want to be politically associated with any specific government entity. We want to be as geographically and industry diverse as we possibly can be. But it is ultimately up to the council to decide their own membership criteria. If, in the future, the council wants to allow government entities, it would probably take a supermajority or a unanimous agreement between them to change those rules. So at the moment, not possible, and you'd need, a majority of them to go down that path. But yeah, Jesse, what was your other question?
My question,
hopefully I can answer it.
Yeah, and it's sort of a vague question, and you can answer it in that way. I know a lot of times I will try and find different organizations and foundations that are working online sort of in the space, and I'll try and highlight them for you guys. I'm just wondering, are you guys currently in the process of joining other foundations or global endeavors that are specifically around trust and proof of stake or different things like that? Or is there anything in the works for joining organizations like that sort of are separate communities in and of themselves that help to let the world know about the benefits of these sorts of DLT platforms?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is totally dependent on what our goals as a company are at that moment. There are a variety of organizations and partnerships that we're constantly pursuing, trying to join, even joined and just didn't really say anything about it. A good example of this could be, not that we've joined or have any relationship with them, but Mance speaking at the Digital Chamber of Commerce's blockchain debate, is a great relationship that we have with some of those people. They're very influential in the blockchain regulation environment. It's not something that I'm super focused on at Hedera. I focus on trying to enable developers and getting some awareness into that, developer ecosystem. But we're always looking into different organizations or partnerships that we can, take advantage of and, hopefully give something back to that community as well.
Awesome.
So hopefully that was an acceptable answer. Sorry, it was a little hand wavy.
Yep.
This could be a good question for Rahul here. I've said that we have a lot of tokenization and different types of standards that we're working on. a lot of different focuses. But someone asked, is there any DeFi infrastructure being worked on for HCS? Could you talk a little bit about what you may or may not know is going on in that ecosystem, as well as things that you could see getting built in that ecosystem?
So DeFi is huge, right? A lot of that is, some of that is related to staking, which is understandably a long way ahead. I think the best one so far is just the tokenization aspect of DeFi and the loans system. So just having some kind of a notification system that automatically charges your loans and interest per date. And doing that in HCS is really exciting. The issue I had was, so I think some time back, Greg and Tim, I believe, did a blog post and created some code on how to create an HCS token. The issue there was, when I was talking with exchanges, people like in exchanges, how do you integrate such tokens such that anyone else can buy? Because at the end of the day, these are kind of like coupons in some kind of a database, right? So I think work needs to be done first on those kinds of standards before going into all the staking, before going into all the fabulous stuff that things like staking can provide via HCS, that is. Otherwise, you have the smart contract route, but we spoke about this. I don't think Hedera smart contract, HCS is a better way to do things than Hedera smart contracts.
That makes a lot of sense. Is anyone on the call familiar with Pablo's wrapped HBAR project and wants to speak to that a little bit? It does not use the Hedera consensus service at the moment, not meaning that it couldn't. But Jesse, do you want to maybe take this one?
Yeah, I don't know the technical side of it. I don't know, but I know what it enables. And right now, just to let everyone know, it's just in a testnet implementation right now. So it's using the Ethereum Rinkerby testnet along with Hedera's testnet, and you can play around with testnet HBARs and convert them or wrap them to make them wrapped HBARs, and then that would enable you to use them within the Ethereum ecosystem. Ultimately, I think that's what Pablo is aiming for eventually, once it goes onto the main net, and be able to use whatever capital you have within the Hedera network on the Ethereum network. And it's all about making stuff interoperable and making those sorts of bridges. I actually created a how-to guide on Medium for how to create wrapped HBAR to test it out. It's not an overly complicated process, but for anyone who's interested, should hop on there and give it a go, because eventually I know Pablo is going to want to have it so that anyone with HBAR can interact with the Ethereum network.
Yep, that is a great explainer. So that way anyone holding HBAR and using Hedera would be able to interoperate between any of the DeFi infrastructure on Hedera and any of the DeFi infrastructure that's built on Ethereum. So very exciting work there. Vishal, did you have anything to add about DeFi or on HCS or Hedera more generally?
I think pretty much what I wanted to say is covered by Rahul, in the sense that if there is a set protocol, it becomes easier for everyone to actually make things on top of HCS and basically DeFi. What I actually want to say is that in a DeFi network, like Rahul was mentioning about the staking, we can still basically utilize the existing infrastructure and stake the amounts in a particular HBAR wallet or something like that, and still create a superficial layer to actually bring in the governance part that you have in generally any DeFi based community. But I think, like how Rahul was pointing out, maybe his approach is future proof as well as more stable and concrete. So That's my opinion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're seeing a lot of consolidation and standardization in the exchange market. You know, a lot of exchanges or organizations have their own API standards that need to be implemented in order for you to get on them, or for wallets, you know, creating wallet standards so that any wallet can more easily onboard different assets. Definitely one of the things that's top of mind. I think we had one last question in here before I end this live stream and we all hop off and get on with the rest of our day. And Jesse, I think he may have answered it in the chat already, but I'm going to ask it again just for anyone who's watching the replay. Would a higher HBAR price in theory keep the network more secure down the road? If so, how would it do that? Jesse, do you want to answer this one? I think you are on mute, my friend.
Sorry about that. I muted myself when I was typing the answer. Yeah, so I mean, a higher value of the network is going to make it inherently more difficult for someone to try and gain control of it, because it's going to be more expensive for them to get the amount of HBAR required to compromise the network. And actually, just a bit further on that, I believe that Lehman has talked about previously there being certain protocols and implementations in place that if something of that nature is detected where it appears as though someone is trying to gain control of the network, it's going to become extremely difficult very fast for them to do so. I don't know the mechanics around it, but I know that if something like that were to occur, it's not going to work out.
Absolutely. Rahul, Vishal, would you like to add any comments or thoughts about our proof of stake model, or the fact that attackers would have to own over 1/3 of the HBAR available on the marketplace in order to affect consensus? It's okay if not. All right, I think that is it. Hopefully we have answered your question about staking and why a high value in the total supply of HBAR makes it, all the more difficult to attack the Hedera network. It's one of the beautiful things about proof of stake consensus. So thank you everyone who tuned into this live stream. Thank you for all the good questions. If there was anything that we didn't talk about, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. And we will try to follow in the next couple hours and answer any lingering questions. But a big shout out and thank you to Jesse and Vishal and Rahul for joining us, for taking the time out of their day, telling us about what they're working on. And so last round, could you tell everyone where they can get in touch with you if they would like to send you an email, LinkedIn, Discord message? Jesse, what's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, on Telegram, just at HH.Guide.
That is an easy one. Vishal, how can people get in touch with you? I see you have it on your virtual background.
So I'm on Twitter. You can reach out to me on Discord, on Telegram as well. And LinkedIn, you can just search for Vishal Dhermawat. It's probably the most unique name, so I'll be the first search. Or even if you type it on Google, I'll be the first name.
Okay, perfect. That top Google search result is a coveted place. Rahul, where can people stay in touch with you?
Everywhere. On Twitter, it's Blockchain Rahul. On Discord and LinkedIn, on Discord, it's my full name, Rahul Kothari, and on LinkedIn, it's I am Rahul Kothari. But yeah.
That is awesome. When can I follow you on Blue Sky?
On Blue Sky, they don't have a social media presence as such, apart from cats, because Jack Dorsey loves cats for some reason. But yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you all for your time.
Cool. All right.